How do you guys prepare for a long road trip? And I mean, you guys know what these long road trips are. This week, another one. I guess the only good part, it's the final road trip, but hey, it's another long one.
It is, but that's who we are, and we accept that this is where we live, and it's how we're going to travel. And our plan this time is similar to last week. We'll practice early Thursday morning, leave Thursday afternoon about 1 o'clock, and get as far as Portland that evening, and then the rest of the way on Friday. Difficult that it's a night game, 6 o'clock kickoff on Saturday, so won't get back until late Sunday afternoon. But there's no point in worrying about the situation. It is what it is. That's the way the schedule was presented to us, and you go play them. So we will do that.
I feel like I was listening on the radio last week, the game at Central, and obviously pulling pretty good. I shouldn't say, but so close. You feel like as coach staff, you guys really had some opportunities to earn that first win against Central. So walking away there with another loss, I mean, just adding to the frustration of knowing that. Maybe
it's been that way nearly every game. We haven't been out of many games. We've been right there with a chance at halftime, going into the second half, going into the fourth quarter, with opportunities to win that game. And this was another example of that. We just have, for whatever reason, a very difficult time making key plays when those plays need to be made. And the Central game was no different. A 7-7 game early in the third, we score to tie it up, then we force a fumble on their kickoff return. We got the ball, and 2 plays later we throw an interception. And it's just, it's kind of 1 step forward, 2 steps back, unfortunately. And we're clearly playing better than I think we had been earlier in the season, but still not good enough to get that elusive first win. And it's as frustrating as anything I've ever experienced as a coach. And I'm sure the players would say the same thing. We just, for whatever reason, can't seem to get over the hump. And whether that's because we are so young and so inexperienced, but we're 9 games into this thing, 10 this Saturday. So not even that excuse really works anymore. We've got to find a way. It's up to us and only us to figure out how to make the plays when plays have to be made and do enough in all 3 phases to get ourselves a win. And it's a shame that we've fallen so far so quickly, from where we were this time a year ago to where we're at now. But it has happened. Like I said, we have left, well over a dozen players home each week that would normally have been traveling, to games. We've left them home with injuries and such, and most of those are season-ending type injuries. And so we find ourselves, we have 4 freshmen on the field throughout the second half on Saturday. 3 of the 4 are walk-on freshmen, non-scholarship freshmen that we just offered an invitation to come play. And here they are now starting in key roles in a key game against Central Washington. So they're getting great experience, as we see with a lot of other young players. But it's certainly not the team we thought we'd have at this point, here getting ready to play in November. But, injuries happen. They've happened to us in bulk numbers so far, and we've got we haven't dealt with it well because we haven't won a game. Hopefully we can get that first win this week.
Yeah, unfortunately, injuries have been the theme of the season, and Kyle getting banged up. Do you know, we'll get to start at quarterback between Kyle and Casey?
Well, right now Kyle's doubtful for this weekend. He's got a shoulder, will not practice today. We'll see how his shoulder responds to treatment, but I would anticipate that he'll be limited on Saturday, and that Casey Mintz will get the start at quarterback. We hope to get Spencer Phillips back. He went out with a shoulder injury in the Western Oregon game earlier in the year, and has been out since then, and he started throwing in yesterday and felt okay. So, but again, we played that second half with only 1 quarterback, 1 healthy quarterback, traveled only 1 tight end. Like I said, we're going through things that I've never ever had to experience as a coach before, but they all seem to be happening this year.
We still got to play the games in this week up at Simon Fraser, and tell me a little bit about the game plan. It seems like it's been a long time since you last faced them, but talk about the game plan this week.
You're right. We played them in the opener, and that seems a long time away, but a long time ago. They too have struggled. They came out of the gate and beat us here at home, and then went and won at Central, and we're 2-0, and then they themselves really have hit a skid, and they've lost 6 straight. Their quarterback was out, got knocked out earlier in the season. He's back now. Durant, their All-American receiver, went out in our game. He's now back, so they're getting some of their pieces back, and had a real tight game with Dixie State last week, losing by 7. And you're going to have 2 teams that are obviously very hungry, very desperate, to use that word, and for a win. Ourselves being winless, and Simon on a 6-game skid. It's a tough place to play up there. It's a situation where they have just a few hundred fans. It's a night game in November up in the Northwest. It's we know what the weather conditions can be. It looks to me like there's a 30% chance of rain and 45 degrees, and that'll dip as the game goes on. So long trip again. Tough conditions playing up there at night. But again, we're not gonna look at any excuses. We need a win. They need a win, and someone's gonna come away happy on Saturday. Hopefully that's us.
Heading to the final of 2 games, what's the morale of your team, of the players, and what you're seeing on their faces right now?
Well, again, I give them credit because they have come each day to practice and prepared, worked hard. They've put forth a great face and effort to go along with that, but they're hurting, no question about it. To be in the situation that we're in, no one anticipated this, and it's tough. Everyone that is out there, players, coaches, are very, very competitive people. That's why we do what it is we do. And to have a season go the direction our season has gone is tough on everybody. And then you combine that with this travel that we're doing, and the lack of success certainly on the field and such, and it magnifies everything. So a win would be great. Our kids deserve a win right now. They truly do. They're hurting. They're hurting in many, many ways. They're hurting physically. We've got players that are out there playing right now with a variety. You're going on in the 10th game. You're going to have players that are down, but they know they can't, take a week off, or they can't step aside with their injury right now because we just have no one else. And so we've got players that are fighting through a lot of things right now. There's a lot, and you combine that with the lack of success we've had this year, and that makes for a tough situation, clearly.
One last question. I guess taking the bumps and bruises, players that normally wouldn't be playing this season, going to the offseason and next year, it has to be a plus knowing that these guys, you're throwing them out there, but they're definitely getting game experience.
Well, we keep telling ourselves that, and it's true. Again, you've got our top player right now is Chase Caravichet. He's just a true freshman. We got Myquan Johnson, who was a high school teammate of Chase, starting at safety. We got Josh Hansen from Eureka starting at guard. Xavier Nelson started at tight end on Saturday, and Sutter Choice here came in at running back. Those are all true freshmen that we'll be playing with for the next 3 years. And you got Cameron Buell, who's just a redshirt freshman. A number of other players that are either redshirt freshmen or sophomores. It's going to be a very quick and very short senior day, a week from Saturday when we have that. There's just very few seniors. We have, on the defensive side, we have Kevin Cooper, who's been a 5th-year senior. And then we have Sam Foster and Chaz Rogers. And thankfully, Chaz is doing fine. Chaz had a seizure on the bus going up to Ellensburg, around just west of Grants Pass, and we had to. So it's been one thing after another. That's a first as well. But he's one of our seniors. We've got the 2 offensive linemen, David Culp and Dylan Reagan, on the offensive side, and that's it. So there's very few seniors. So as you look ahead, certainly that's a positive. But we have to get better. We have to get better with the players that we have, obviously, and we have to get better in the players we're able to recruit, because we've got to get this thing back to where we expect it to be.
Wow.
So it's been nuts.